In 1980, one of the greatest movies ever came out. And that's not just me saying that because I'm a nerd. That's what critics say. It was a good movie. Empire Strikes Back came out. The second of the original Star Wars trilogy came out. And Empire Strikes Back is, in many ways, what we have been reading here today. Welcome to Walking Through the Word. We're in John chapter 11, and we're continuing our conversation about Lazarus. That's Scooby-Doo. About Lazarus. And we've seen so far, we're in the third part of the trilogy, the third act, if you will. So just like in Star Wars in 1977 when it came out, The New Hope, as it got eventually retitled, it had lots of hope. The first chapter of the first section has lots of hope. Jesus, hey, if Jesus comes, Jesus can do this. Jesus can save. Jesus can do all these things. Then the second act comes. The darkness. Lazarus has died. Everybody's lost hope. There's a glimmer, but everybody's lost hope. This is just like Empire Strikes Back, folks. Now we have Return of the Messiah, if you will. So here we are in verse 28. Now remember, recapping, Jesus was somewhere else. He was not near the town of Bethany. Lazarus died. Jesus waited 2 days and came down. Lazarus has now been dead for 4 days. Martha has come up and said, Jesus, if you'd been here, we know that you could have saved him. And Jesus makes this earth-shattering statement of, I am the resurrection and life. And he gives a promise of what eternity is going to look like. But Jesus isn't done there. And so here we go. So Martha and Jesus have had a conversation, but now Jesus is asking for the other sister who stayed behind. She was the hopeless one. She was the one that just must have been in just despair. In verse 28 of John chapter 11, when she'd said this, she went and called her sister Mary, saying in private, the teacher is here and is calling for you. And when Mary heard this, she rose quickly and went to him. Now Jesus hadn't yet come into the village, but was still in a place where Martha had met him. And when the Jews who were with her in the house, consoling her, saw Mary rise quickly and go out, they followed, supposing that she was going to the tomb to weep there. See, the way that funerals worked in Judaism, it took several days. This was something that didn't happen just once. This was several days. And we have to remember that Lazarus has now been buried at this point, okay? And there was a big funeral, more than likely, he was carried, he was taken over, he was put into his tomb, and a stone was rolled over it. And then there were professional mourners, and there were other people that were supposed to stay with the grieving for several days. Wherever they went, they would go. And so that's what's happening here. Wherever the grieving went, they would go. So they're following Mary. They're assuming that she's going back to the tomb because this will happen several times, going back and forth. They saw her and they followed her. But when Mary came to where Jesus was and saw him, she fell at his feet, saying to him the same thing that Martha did. Lord, if you'd been here, my brother would not have died. And we get one of the most powerful scenes in all of Scripture. And when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who had come with her also weeping, he was deeply moved in his spirit and greatly troubled. I have no doubt that Jesus struggled. And Jesus did, even though Jesus knew what had to be done, that didn't make it an easy decision. It's just like the crucifixion. Jesus knew what this was all leading up to. It didn't mean he was looking forward to it. He did not wake up on Good Friday and go, man, this is exciting. That's not how it worked. He didn't go to the Last Supper on Thursday going, yes, guys, here we go. He didn't hang out in the Garden of Gethsemane. He was weeping to the point of bleeding. This is not happy stuff. So Jesus understands that the difficult things that have to happen can still break someone's heart. As parents, we understand this. Sometimes we have to do things to discipline our children, to do things that break our heart for them. But we know that it's the right thing to do. And Jesus was deeply moved and greatly troubled. And he said, take me to him. Where have you laid him? And they said to him, Lord, come and see. So Jesus went. Jesus wept. Shortest sentence in the Scripture, but also one of the most powerful. See, we don't have a God who is mythological, meaning that he just sits there and he creates people and it's at his whim and he does whatever and they're little puppets and he doesn't care what they do. That's not our God. This is not some God that's just waiting to throw wrath down. This is a God of compassion and a God of love who desires lives to be changed for the better, to discover the life worth living. This is a God who weeps when we weep and laughs at the joy we experience. And everybody looked and said, see how he loves him. Oh my goodness. And they're looking and they're asking questions now. But could this Couldn't he have? He opened this blind man. Remember, he's the guy. He couldn't he have saved him? Couldn't he have made him better? Nobody was thinking about what Jesus was about to do. And Jesus, deeply moved again, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. And Jesus said, "Move the stone." Now Martha, again, this is the same Martha that Jesus just had a conversation saying, "I am the resurrection and the life." But Martha wasn't thinking about the body. She was thinking about eternity. She wasn't thinking about now. She was thinking about what's going to happen in the future. She said, "Lord, by this time there's going to be an odor. He's been dead 4 days." And he said to her, did I not tell you that if you believed, you would see the glory of God? So they took away the stone, and Jesus lifted up his eyes and said, "Father, I thank you that you've heard me. And I know you always hear me, but I'm just saying this so that everyone else standing around understands that I have your ear, so that no one doubts who I am, and so that they may believe that I am sent by you, that I am the Messiah." And he heard, when he said these things, he cried out with a loud voice, "Lazarus, come out." Now, remember, when Jesus heals, we've talked about this before, when Jesus heals, it happens instantly. There are no side effects. There are no repercussions. In other words, as soon as Jesus said, "Lazarus, come out," Lazarus was instantly brought to life. Any decomposition that happened was gone. Anything that decay, anything that had happened, he was immediately healed. He was brought to complete health. No repercussions, no side effects, no weird odor. He did come out, though, still wrapped up like a mummy. And Jesus says, "Unbind him, let him go." This is what Jesus does for us when we believe. We become unbound. We become incredibly, incredibly healed. We may not feel it yet, but it will happen. We're going to talk about the after results of this next time.